Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, Wendy Sellers here at the HR Lady. Welcome back. This is episode 5. It must be Friday. Finally. JC, how you doing?
Aloha. Welcome to Friday, Wendy. I'm doing pretty good. It feels good. It's been a good week. We've had a blessed and beautiful opportunity, learning experience here with Mr. Jim this week. I look forward to seeing where this final episode goes.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to talk about, just taking charge of your life and your career and making sure that, you, the listener, knows it is your responsibility to do that. And we are here to help you. More specifically, Mr. Jim Boswell is here to help you. Welcome back, Jim. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing really great.
Hey, I want to talk to you about, or I want you to talk to us, really. I want to ask probably a million questions, but we have about 7 minutes to just talk about old school wisdom. What do we mean by that when we're kind of revisiting the timeless principles of personal development and management? Have they really changed that much in the past 30, 40 years?
I think the underlying things that need to be done have not changed. I think we're more cognizant in certain areas of certain things that we do better now. But I think, again, it's a case of it takes time to build a lot of this expertise and to have somebody actually tell you, unless you go searching for it. So, for instance, there's certain things that I had always liked to do that I still think are somewhat true. Can I share a few with you?
Absolutely.
So one thing is the concept that wisdom is earned. It's not given. It's not about somebody giving it to you or you doing something to get it. You have to work at it yourself. If you do work at it, it will come to you. And where do we get that? We get that from bosses, experts, workmates, family, training, customers. And what I like to emphasize is that if you can leave your acculturation and your training and your institutional ideas behind, and really look at yourself honestly, and look at things that have no fluff to it, no ego involvement, they're fact-based, they're authentic, that these will serve you much better than having unsupported opinions and sticking by them and never changing.
Right.
And I think it's also, it gets better. As much as you can, as early as you can do these things, the better off you're going to be, because you have a better foundation earlier in life. You'll get farther. So at a personal level, what I mean, I think this means you have to widen your expertise day in, day out for the rest of your life. You need to read, train, master, and implement better fact-based solutions throughout your life. And this will help you become more confident, more perseverant, more resilient, more flexible. And these will really serve you well, because change is the order of the day. Status quo, yeah, we all love it. And, it's fine for a little while, but it does not last. And staying focused. That's one of the problems we humans have. There's a lot of whistles and bells and things out there to entertain us and distract us. Staying focused. And we have tools in the lifelong fulfillment process using the 80-20 Pareto rule, using the concept of personal return on investment, strategic inflection points. These help you not try to make all things equal so that you can focus on what's really important, and you do that instead.
You know what else I think too is we have to make mistakes to learn, right? We have to make painful mistakes to learn. When we make the mistakes not painful for somebody in our family or somebody that works for us, and we say, oh, we'll just take the heat for you, we're not going to make this painful for you, then you don't learn. You don't have any skin in the game to learn about, hey, I screwed up and I affected other people and it didn't feel really well. When I make mistakes, I go, I just got held accountable for that. I don't want to make that mistake ever again. What are your thoughts on that, Jim and JC? We'll go with JC first here.
Well, I've got something for you. A study in the Journal of Occupational and Organizational Psychology found that a simple strengths-based exercise it could actually boost personal growth in employees, especially those with lower confidence. And that shows that old school approaches like playing to individual strengths does still work well for personal development. However, if we reach way back, how's that said? Presenteeism, just showing up, right? The outdated belief that employees must be physically present at work for long hours, regardless of productivity. It does persist in some traditional workplaces, despite modern trends. And we also see the clock rolling back on that lately as well. Back to you.
Yeah. Change. 2025 is the year of change in the workplace for sure. But JC, thank you for sharing that stat or that information from the Journal of Occupational Organizational Psychology. You mentioned in there about lower, people with lower confidence. And I think that goes right into my statement about mistakes. If you already have lower confidence, you may not want to talk about your mistakes. So managers have to make sure they approach that in the right manner. What are your thoughts on that, Jim?
Well, yeah, I think if you personally can get in the routine of expecting that mistakes are part of, life, and just be honest about them and make it right and apologize. But what do you have to lose? Because other people are having the same problems right around you. Your boss is, everybody around you is dealing with that because we're all humans. And business and that sort of thing, it's a human enterprise. So what I would say is you just need to acculturate yourself to the fact it's a cycle. Hopefully, you have a lot more good things happen than having to incidents where you have to apologize. But it's part of the process. You learn something from it, and then you don't do it again. So, yes, I think there's room for that. I think there's other ways to help yourself also understand the dynamics in your environment. For instance, paying attention to the company, both from outside perspectives, from higher perspectives than where you're employed at, and what seems to be operating there, and how your behaviors and what you want either dovetails or is running in the wrong direction. And it's good to know that so that you don't get blindsided by it. I also found that networking was extraordinarily important. And I do not mean networking by email, and I do not mean watching every podcast. I mean actually spending my lunches 4 and 5 days a week with people either that I had worked with, who had moved to other companies, bosses, peers, customers, every chance I got an opportunity, and asked them, what do you see? What's going on in your world? Because their world's going to impact me selling into them, and I need to know what their issues are. And so when it came time to move from a job or to get a referral, I didn't have a lot of problems. I knew a lot of people. They knew me. I gave them the same good advice that I wanted, right? So it's a reciprocity process. And it's amazing how much bigger view it gives you of your work world, the environment you live in, the people that need to be important to you if you're going to have a career.
Love it. Speaking of expanding your network, how can our listeners connect with you?
Well, I have a website, www.lifelongfulfillment.com. Everything's there. It points you directly to our podcast, which is called Vision in Action Live, which we do once a week. And those podcasts include trainings. They include podcast panels, and they include experts that come and interview with us. And that's a good place to get started to understand the entire personal development process and then all the tool sets. Also, there's newsletters there on the website, and there's a bibliography that you can use that's absolutely credible and authentic and factual that you can use from day one. And if it's got a book, then there's a companion podcast on it if you're more audio visual. So lots of good resources.
All right, folks, I'll make sure that I'll have that in the comments of the podcast. And hey, everybody, just thanks for listening to episode 5 of our 5-part series on lifelong fulfillment in action. We really do hope this information has been helpful. I know this was a long one, but we missed JC and now we got Jim. This has been a good start to my February. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Take care.
Been great. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.